All right, welcome to another episode of the Canucks Chatter podcast. I'm Rafal. On injured reserve today, we have Victor. He's got a bad case of laryngitis, I believe it is.
Yeah,
So,
laryngitis. He can't talk. So
yeah,
I've been tapped and jumped over the bench.
yeah, we got Steve here. I met you in hockey. We all played drop in hockey. That's how I know you. I
Yep,
think you know
yep.
Victor. You've known Victor
Oh,
longer than that, or
oh yeah, yeah. Vic and I have known each other since elementary school, so going on
oh,
35 years. Yeah, yeah.
damn,
So
I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
news. That's
yeah.
news to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and he tapped me in. He's got his laryngitis and he can't talk. So some might say that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Actually, we're playing
Yeah.
hockey. We're playing hockey yesterday, and he's trying to call for passes, and it's me, pass. And he can't call, so kind of funny.
I'm surprised he even came. I guess I've never had laryngitis, so I don't know. Is it just like a
Neither.
throat thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just a throat thing, but it's like not contagious. I think it's just kind of, I don't
Okay.
know. I'm not a
No,
doctor.
no, neither am I. I would never claim to be. Uh, all right. So I think since our last this week, there's been two games. It's been Ottawa, uh, and before that was the Rangers. We can get into those games in a sec, but I wanted to kind of get your take of how you feel the team has sort of performed and played so far through, I guess, what has it been, 19 games so far? Like, what is your sense of the team this year?
Yeah, well, I'll set this up a little bit first. Actually, I'll just talk a little bit about myself since your listeners
Yeah,
have
yeah.
no idea who I am. So, um, I wouldn't say I'm a lifelong Canucks fan, but basically a lifelong Canucks fan. When I started my real hockey fandom, I was a Pittsburgh Penguins fan because they were winning their first back-to-back cups when I was really developing as a hockey fan. Yeah, I was 11 and 12 years old then, and really caught on. Of course, I was a Canucks fan just living here in Vancouver, but they weren't my main team until Marcus Naslund hit. And Marcus Naslund completely changed everything for me. He's my all-time favorite player. Like he's the man. I love Marcus Naslund. He brought me into the Canucks, a diehard Canucks fan, really like since the West Coast Express time, so early 2000s.
Right.
Obviously, been following the team since I was, started being a hockey fan at 10, 11, 12. Um, I've experienced two heartbreaking Game 7 Stanley Cup final losses. 2011 being more painful, obviously, because I was older and was able to understand more of what's going on. But so I've seen this team through ups and downs, great players, bad players, terrible coaches, great coaches. So that's just a little bit where I'm coming from. As for now, I think given everything the team has gone through, and I hate to say the word adversity because it seems a little too lofty of a word. I mean, these guys are,
Used a
I've,
lot, right?
yeah, but like a teammate getting injured, is that really adversity? It's okay. I mean, it sucks, but anyway, given everything that they've gone through with um, Demko's out, right? There's a superstar goaltender. He's out. You got Besser with the recent. They haven't said the word, but concussion. You
Hmm.
know, you've got JT Miller taking his personal leave. You've got Elias Pettersson somehow forgetting how to play hockey for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, Considering all of that, I think the team's at a pretty good place right now. Um, they're obviously over 500. They're winning. They're not winning at home, but they're getting
Yeah.
wins. They've got points. Um, these new players that they signed, like Kiefer Sherwood, especially, like they're performing. And if you do want to use the word adversity, I think they're overcoming it. And now we're getting to the point where Elias Pettersson seems to have remembered how to play hockey,
Oh yeah.
right?
He's yeah.
Yeah, it feels like he's back, which is awesome. And he's got two straight multi-point games, right?
Hmm.
He's got points in four straight. Um, wait, I wrote it down. Yeah, 2 goals and 4 assists, right?
Yeah.
Over the last 4 games. Like he's back, and you know, I think so. Yeah, I guess it's a long way of saying I think they're in a good spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, all the stuff that you just listed off, the injuries, the you know, maybe not the poor play by some of the players that you expect more from, and they're still, 10-6-3. That's, if you think about getting those top players and everybody back healthy at some point, you feel pretty good if they all can, kind of gel together, and hopefully that all gels together and the peak comes towards April. Yeah, like you mentioned, like Kiefer Sherwood. I think everyone's kind of been talking about him. He's been a guy that's literally been hitting everything, every shift, like nonstop. What do you like? Do you feel that like his energy out there is just almost infectious? Like he's this guy who's just like an engine, and I'm surprised that Nashville let him go. Like, are you surprised? Like he seems like such an impact player for the minutes he plays.
I mean, I won't say I'm surprised Nashville let him go because I mean this is just the business of the NHL, right? Players come, players go, contracts run out, guys move on. But yeah, like he's a guy that's clearly I don't know what it is, if he feels he's got something to prove every time he steps onto the ice, or if he's just constantly got this drive and motivation in him to kick some ass every time he's on the ice. Like This is just like, it seems like maybe this is just who he is. Like this is probably who he was in Pee Wee. This is probably who he would be if he was not in the NHL and he was playing beer league. It just seems like this is the kind of guy he is. And he, I mentioned that Pettersson's on a 4-game point streak. Well, so is Kiefer Sherwood.
Mm.
Right.
Right.
And it kind of lines up to when they Tocchet put them on the line together, which is back at the Blackhawks game.
Right.
Started lining those guys up together. Now, I don't want to say that Kiefer Sherwood is the reason that PD's brought his play back up, but these two players combined are really something. I mean, it's working. Sherwood is this quote unquote third liner. But here he is playing, if you want to call them the first line, the second line, whatever. And he's, he fits, he works.
Mm-hmm. I almost, when you think about, like you just said, he's a third line player, quotation marks. I almost feel like in the NHL, you sort of need that because if you have three guys that are sort of, it's hard to have three superstars on one line that have the same skill set, right? You need something different. And Sherwood's a guy. And you can see this in other, top lines in the NHL where you have that worker bee that goes in the corners, fishes pucks out, gets it to those players. And you kind of need that combination. And for now, he's definitely doing that. But going back, he signed a 2-year, $1.5 million contract. That's great value for the money. So I'm even surprised with, if you look at Nashville right now, they can use a guy like him. They can use pretty much anything because they're not looking too good so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And that contract is a bottom line player contract, right?
Yeah, like a third, fourth liner. Yeah.
Yeah, but you need guys that can move up and down the lineup, especially in today's NHL. It's not like back in the day, where you had your superstars and then you put a bunch of goons who could fight down the lineup and they never touched the puck, right? Like guys need to play all throughout your lineup. And if you have those kind of guys like a Kiefer Sherwood or a Pius Suter or a Teddy Bluger who can move up and down as needed, man, what a boon.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's and the other thing I was going to talk about is the goaltending. Like, what do Demko's out. There's a little bit of panic to start with that. Maybe Shilov's, hasn't maybe had the greatest start. He's looked a little bit better as of late, but Lankinen, I think he's been really solid for them and a guy that, if the goaltending if he wasn't playing the way he has been, the conversation around the team might be completely different, right? Like, what have you seen his game and what he's brought, between the pipes for Vancouver?
It's like, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, they signed him in training camp. They were already in training camp when they signed him, right? So
yeah,
Lankinen wasn't part of the plan. He was just kind of, it kind of felt like, hey, if we can get this guy to help stabilize, that would be great. But if we don't, we've still got Shilovs, right? It felt like maybe that was sort of the plan. And I think the reports were at the time that Lankinen wanted, he signed for almost league minimum, right? $825, I think, something like that. He signed
something like that. Yeah, not much.
And I think the reports at the time were that he wanted quite a bit more. but it wasn't coming,
Yeah.
right? Teams were making the offer, but the Canucks came along and he signed the deal and like completely outperforming it. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and check.
Yeah, I was just gonna check like his save percentage the last couple of years. I mean, it's over 900 pretty much. So it's
Yeah, and during the start of the year, of course, he was top 5 or top 3 or something in the league. He's come down to earth a bit now. He's got a 901 save percentage now, which is still, I'm not sure what league average is right now this year. I haven't checked that, but I mean, you're over 900. You're a backup basically. He's only been a backup so far. He's not been an NHL starter, but here he is taking the starter's load. I mean, he didn't even start the season, right? Opening night, the starting goalie was Artie. Right. So I think even after signing him, the plan seemed like maybe it was going to be Shelov's net.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. He had a rough game. They gave it to Lankinen. He's taken the ball and he's ran with it. It's awesome. And then when Thatcher Demko gets back, I mean, what a 1-2 punch. Amazing.
Yeah. No, you got to feel really good about that. I think from the reports that I was checking online is that at some point during this road trip, Demko's expected back probably towards the tail end. So that's a good sign for them. I think also Besser is supposed to come, he's
tomorrow.
feeling better. Is it tomorrow? Yeah. So that's another, I mean, he's a guy who, is always going for the net, getting goals, and that'll be a help on the offensive side.
Yeah, word is if Besser wakes up tomorrow, because he practiced today, if he wakes up tomorrow with no symptoms and he's feeling good, and he actually said after practice today, and I quote, he feels great.
Right.
If he wakes up tomorrow feeling good, then he's in the game, is what I've heard. So.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good news. I was also reading Besser talk about how, I don't know if you heard about this, but after that game in LA where he got hit by Jeannot, he was somewhere in the arena in one of the hallways, and he ran into Jeannot right after the game, and that was a little bit awkward. And Jeannot apologized, and
Jeannot did apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's got to be a weird run into right after that. So, I mean, just bad hit. I don't think anyone thinks that was a clean hit. So.
No, I am a little curious how that apology kind of went down, because it seemed like that Jeannot made the decision to go for the hit, even though he probably knew he shouldn't have.
Right.
It was that obvious. The puck was nowhere near. Brock was not looking, like he was totally like blindsided, right? Jeannot could have made the decision not to do that. I'm just curious how that apology kind of, hey, my bad for screwing you up there.
Yeah, my God, hitting you in the head, giving you a concussion. Yeah, like that was, that must be such an awkward thing, because apparently it wasn't. Well, from the article that I was reading, it wasn't planned to meet up at this part, so it's just kind of a coincidence. But he apologized as he should, because it was a bad hit. But luckily he's back.
Yeah. I mean, in the 1980s, that was a completely legal hit.
Yeah.
And if it came out that he apologized, there would have been certain pundits on TV that would have been losing their minds over, can you apologize to a guy? But I mean, we're at a different time now, and you can't do those kind of hits. You just can't, because like there's more to hockey for these guys, right? Like I get it, they're multimillionaires, but they're human beings too, with families and stuff, and you just can't be doing that stuff.
No, and we know way more about head injuries and concussions and what they do to a person, and we the NHL's we're obviously trying to get rid of that and show more of the speed and skill. And look, the rough stuff, you still want that. We get that during the playoffs, but I don't think anybody wants to see somebody get hurt. So, suspension definitely was warranted there. So we've been talking about all the good stuff about Vancouver. I think. We had a couple of guests on the last couple of weeks, and kind of, I think it's known out there that where Vancouver would like to address is their back end. Sure, obviously they got Quinn Hughes, all-star stud, one of the best defensemen in the NHL.
Well, when he's not gooning it up and getting kicked out of games, right?
Right. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we talk about defense, let's talk about that.
We're in the Quinn Hughes goon era now.
Yeah. Well, you got to have you got to think that's like, what is that? Like, I understand the players turning, like, it's on the numbers, it's a penalty, but I don't think that's a game misconduct. Like, it's just, and I think there was another hit. I forget which game it was, between who it was, but there was a cross check right into the boards. I don't even think there was a penalty on it in a different game. And then you put that up against the Quinn Hughes hit, like penalty, sure. Like if you want to do double minor, but like a game misconduct, I don't know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just bad timing because you see that kind of thing all the time.
Right.
Guys are doing the little. I mean, it's a cross check. Cross checking is a penalty, but I mean, guys are cross checking all the time. But that little sort of check under the lower back just to knock a guy off balance, right? So that you can try and get the puck when he's off balance. I mean, that stuff happens all the time. I think it was just bad timing. Quinn made the check at the exact same time that Norris turned, and he lost balance too much and took a header into the boards.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the refs assess a 5-minute major for that, I mean, it's the rule, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's his first major penalty of his career. I don't expect he'll have many more. It's not Quinn's game, and they're buddies too. They played on Michigan together, right? Quinn and Norris.
Right.
So,
right.
I also thought it was like, maybe this is a stretch, but I thought it was a little cute that the reigning Norris winner.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. A little stretch, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was. I think it was just an unfortunate play. It's. At the end of the Canucks still won the game, so it's not like they were missing Hughes out there towards the end, right?
That's the positive. That's the positive of it, right? So you lose Quinn Hughes in the first period to a game misconduct. You already don't have JT Miller. You already don't have Brock Besser, and they dominated the game, right? Like the Senators look terrible.
They look awful. I don't know what's going on there, but they gotta like it's you keep hearing like just to talk about the Senators for a second that the Atlantic Division they're gonna someone's gonna either it's gonna be Buffalo or Ottawa is gonna start moving their way up, and every year it's like the same thing, and they're just you're waiting for that next step, and you can see the roster and the talent, but it's just not coming together. I don't know what's going on there, but it was a physical game.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how difficult it is to win in the NHL.
Yeah.
Look at Buffalo. Look at all the young talent they have, all those high draft picks they've had, and all this stuff, and they're still just kind of grinding it, not really achieving anything.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, not an easy sport to win in.
No, it's there's parity in the league. Like you never know. There's so much systems, coaching, the gel of the team. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean,
I mean, personally, I think the loser point adds to that parity.
The
point for the overtime loss. I think that I'm not sure there's as much parity as it looks thanks to the point system. But I mean,
true.
You're right. Like every team is better. Every player is better. We were just talking about it. I mean, fourth liners aren't unskilled goons anymore. They can actually play.
Oh yeah, they can rip it top. It's crazy to think. Like you can see a fourth liner come in and just rip it top corner. That wasn't the case back in the day. That's not their job.
Yeah, no, of course. But I mean, if you think about it, a guy on the fourth line in the NHL, put him down to the AHL, and he's on the first line, right? Like that's how good these guys are.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that'd be a tough thing as a player. Is that most of these guys that are in the NHL, like apart from like a Matt Rempe or something like that. But most of these guys are the top player on their team, always growing up, and then when you get to the NHL, maybe you have to change your role. Like that's a tough thing to do sometimes to wrap your head around. If you are, let's say, an offensive guy, and you got to be, hey, you're a checker, you're a penalty killer, and all these kind of things. It's a tough way, right?
Well, that's it for sure. I mean, look at our Steve Baines. His last year in the WHL, he led the league in scoring.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. He was an overager. I get it, but he led the league in scoring, 120 points or whatever it was he got.
Yeah, producing. Yeah.
Producing, yeah. And then he gets to the NHL, and his career role is going to be it's going to be a bottom line grinder, basically. I mean, I know that Talkett's played him up in the lineup when he's come in, but that's not his career trajectory.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, players have to change.
Yeah, definitely have to adapt. What do you think about, speaking about the AHL and offensive players? Lekarimäki came up for a couple of games, obviously scored on his first shot, so that was a great start for him. But how did you think he fared in his I think he played 5 games, was it?
Yeah, something like that. He looked he did look out of place. He looked really good. He looked pretty good. I was actually at his first game.
Oh, okay, nice.
At home here, yeah, and he didn't score in that game, but he looked like he wasn't lost out there.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't watching him saying, "Oh, geez,"
Yeah.
Oh, he missed his check, or oh, geez, he should have had that pass, or nothing. He looked good. He looked like he fit. I mean, it's good to put him back down in the AHL and let him get some more
Yeah.
seasoning, score a bunch of goals,
Mm-hmm.
kick some butt down there, right?
Yeah.
You don't got to fast track it. The
No.
Canucks don't need to fast track it. They're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
We saw what happened last time they fast track a couple of high drafted prospects
Yeah.
in Virtanen and McCann, and it
Yeah.
just didn't work out, right?
Right. Yeah. It took some time. McCann's a heck of a player now. He's
Oh,
got a great
absolutely.
shot, but it takes time. Like it's. I think that's one of the issues. I know this is a Canucks podcast, but going back to like a team like Buffalo is like some of those guys have such big responsibility at such a young age, and
Mhm.
it's hard to be thrust into that kind of role, especially when you don't have other options, really, right? Like they're just slotting guys way too much, and that's sort of looking at Shilov's is sort of, he's still a young goaltender. Obviously, things haven't gone his way so far this season. He looked pretty good
He
great in the
did.
playoffs last year.
Yeah.
That was a panic mode when Demko was out, and then he comes in and quiets everything down. But it being a starter in the NHL is a different thing, and for him to try to come in here this year and Demko's gone and him to play all those games, and it's tough, and he's young. I think he's 23, Shilov, so I think there's still time. But when Demko comes back, it looks like he'll go to the AHL and um, try to find his game and then continue to hone it at his young age.
Yeah, which is probably good. I mean, I think you can come into the playoffs where there's that built-in intensity already,
Hmm.
and kind of be like, okay, like I can feel this, and I've got to play at my absolute best, and you can catch fire the way he did.
Right.
I mean, it's different when it's game one of the regular season, right? The same intensity is not there,
Right. Yeah.
So I could see maybe why he slipped a little bit. But I mean, that said, he was awesome in his last game. It was the Rangers game, right? Like
Yeah.
he played
Yeah.
fantastic. He was great. Aside to that, you notice how like every game, the Canucks versus the Rangers seems to be like awesome. Like it seems to be a
Yeah.
fantastic, exciting game. Like his
Yeah.
last one was great. Like it seems
Yeah.
every game they play against the Rangers is a great game.
Yeah. Yeah. Rangers are an interesting team to watch. I think they play an offensive style and have been a top team, and I think that was a good game to watch too, because early on in the season, with Vancouver's injuries and things like that, they were playing well against non-playoff teams, but a couple of the more established playoff teams, contenders or what have you,
Mhm.
they kind of struggled with. So it's good to see them. I mean, they lost that Rangers game, but it was a close game, right? 1 goal game. Rangers scored in the third period. So
They
they're
did,
yeah,
and that was finding out that JT Miller was taking a leave of absence. Like that was the
yeah,
day, right?
yeah. That was a tough game.
And they came out and they played hard,
Yeah,
and they took it to the Rangers, and then it's a shame that little breakdown at the end.
yeah.
Um, but it was a good game.
Where can we go here? What about is there any other? I mean, there's the obvious, some of the obvious players that we talked about who are starting well. Is there any surprise player on the roster that kind of catches your eye that you're like, oh, I didn't expect this start from him, or he's playing better than I expected?
I don't know that it's like so much of a surprise as it is like not entirely sure how to put it, but Connor Garland.
Mm,
Connor Garland
that's
is yeah, I mean he's the best player for me this season. I mean, not counting Quinn Hughes, of course. I mean,
right, but consistency wise, right? Like,
but yeah, and he's similar to Kiefer Sherwood, where like every time he's on the ice, he's making something happen. He's out there, he's trying hard, he never takes a shift off,
yeah,
and he's a little guy, and he doesn't have a big crazy shot, and he's not a super stick handling deep guy, but he's always out there, he's making something happen, he's forechecking, he's hitting, he's shooting, he's passing, he's doing his little Connor Garland spinoramas that he likes to do. Like he's fun to
right,
watch. He's fun to watch,
yeah,
and he creates. He's a play
yeah,
driver. Love it.
yeah, yeah. No, he works super hard. I love it when he goes on the power play in front of the net and he just puts his hands way down the stick, just ready for that
Yeah,
to happen.
right.
Uh,
It's that low center of gravity. Short
yeah,
guys have.
exactly, and that just Yeah, and it's just intense face, just waiting for that pass. It's I love it. So I wanted to get your take on going outside the Vancouver Canucks. On is there any team that surprised you so far through first I don't know 25% of the season? Either positively or negatively, either somebody that you're like, oh, I didn't expect them to be this good, or someone that was like, man, I thought they were going to be better.
I mean, the absolute easiest one, we've already mentioned them, is the Predators. It's crazy. They signed Stamkos and they signed Marchessault, and like, they've got supposedly one of the best goalies in the world, and
Saros,
I don't know what's going on there. No idea what's going on there, and it's weird. I was actually at the Predators game too.
Or they, of course, the Predators win.
They stomped the Canucks, and you could see it a mile away on the power play as soon as Stamkos gets the puck. It's like almost slow motion. It's like, well, he's going to score.
Yeah.
Way too open, the way he's just able to slow things down and pick his shot, it's amazing. And I have no idea why they're not playing better. But of course, I mean, I don't follow the Predators that deep, so I'm sure there are some deep dive Predators analysts out there.
Right.
Maybe there's a Predators podcast, and you can get them on, and they can talk about the Predators, and we can find out like why do they suck so bad?
Yeah, I don't really have any theories. Like, the only thing I can say, and I think this is what someone else was talking about. I think it was somebody on Twitter. I wish I could give credit, but I don't remember who it was. But just sort of, some of the guys they picked up, like a Stamkos and a Marchessault, they're kind of guys they're the scorers, but they're waiting to get the puck in the shooting position. And
sure.
Not that I necessarily fully agree, but like you were saying, how there's too many of those guys, not enough, maybe distributors or different types, because they are great players, but they're usually not the players that are the drivers of a line. They're more of the finishers. But I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, and I don't know their depth chart. But if like Ryan O'Reilly, like, is he their number one center? And I mean, if he is, he's getting up there, right? Like, he's, his time's coming to an end. So
yeah, and I think he's better slotted as like a number two center on the team, right? 2 or 3.
Well, if you had Ryan O'Reilly as your third line center, that would be.
Oh, that's ideal. That's another team that I always throw out there is for me the Capitals. I did not pick them as a playoff team, and they're like 13-6-1, 675 points percentage. I think today they were facing Florida. I believe they beat Florida. Like, they're just like, I keep waiting for them to kind of fall off. Be like, okay, all right, you guys got your wins. Now it's going to come back to reality. But they just keep playing well. Like, their goal differential is plus 26. Like, I don't see many holes in their game, and I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, but we've had our Ovechkin taken away from us with this injury, right? He's week to week, and he was like on an absolute tear.
Yeah.
39 years old, or however old he is. I think he's 39.
I think he's 39, yeah.
Yeah, he was, doing things that no 39-year-old had ever done.
Yeah.
And he gets injured, and it's just such a shame. I mean, say what you want about Ovechkin and his personality outside of the NHL or whatever, but like, watching this guy play hockey and watching this guy score goals since 2005 was his first year in the league. It's been awesome to watch, and like, I for one am cheering for him to break the record. I think it would be super cool. I think it would be really awesome to witness a player score 900 goals in his career.
Yeah.
894 is the record. So, I mean, if he's on pace to beat the record this year before he was injured. Surely he's going to get to 900. Crazy.
Whether it's this year or next year, I think he's going to. I mean, I'd love it for it to happen this year, but with the injury, like, it's supposed to be like around 4 to 6 weeks, right? It's a fractured fibula, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is. So 4 to 6 weeks. But yeah, that sucks. It's a weird thing with Ovi, because it's like, he's been around, like you said, since 2005,
and he never gets injured.
Yeah, he doesn't get injured. He's built like a brick.
Yeah.
That guy, like, he eats his, huge lasagnas or pastas before a game where
exactly.
Normally that would put you to sleep, and he's going out there hitting guys and scoring goals. But he's from the same spot. And goalies know, like, they know where he's shooting from, where he's going, but hey, he can't stop it. It's going in anyway.
But that's the thing this year is he was doing more. It wasn't just from the spot. He wasn't just
Yeah,
planting his feet, shooting from the spot. He was scoring off the rush.
yeah,
He was scoring driving straight down Main Street. Like he was doing things this year that was like a rejuvenation,
right,
you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm mad. I'm mad that it's been taken away from us.
I know. I was upset too because I'd love just checking highlights and being like, oh, well, we
Oh
scored
yeah.
another one, and now I
Yeah.
know. Hey, for the next 6 weeks, I can't even go check because he's not playing. It's sad. One more last thing for before we end this episode. For Vancouver, I wanted to get your take on. We know that they're going to be going after a defenseman, right? A top four defenseman from all looks of it. What kind of defenseman are you thinking they should go for? I mean, it kind of seems like they need someone who can sort of move the puck and get that first pass out of the zone. Who's also good in their own zone defending. Like I know it's hard to come by because there's going to be at least maybe half the league's going to want a defenseman like that. But is there any, whether it's players in mind or a type of style that you'd like to get that Vancouver might try to go for?
Yeah, I mean that's like the kind of unicorn player that everyone wants, right?
Yeah, I
You
know.
want a big guy who's strong
Yes,
and hits hard, but can also skate and make that
exactly.
first pass, right?
6'7",
Yeah,
210. Yeah,
there's not many of those guys around, right?
yeah, it's hard.
Um,
It's yeah,
yeah, I mean the rumors going around now is the Canucks looking to get Zadorov back or something like that, and like I
yeah.
just I don't think that's the way to go,
Me
uh,
neither.
especially not at his price.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean everything would be sort of fixed if Susie can find his game that he had last year.
Mm,
I think
right.
that would settle everything down. And I don't know what the issue is. I know he had injury issues last year, and maybe something's nagging. Who knows? But I mean, I think if he could just sort of find his footing again, that maybe that could settle down, and it's like something you can bring up again towards the trade deadline. I mean,
Hmm.
right now, no, Alvin likes to get a jump on things,
Yeah, he does.
right? He likes to do the trades before the deadline, as evidenced last year. Picking up Zadorov in November and got Lindholm early.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be kind of a wait and see thing right now, and you got to see
Yeah.
who's going to be available. And what you don't want is for them to just make a trade for the sake of it. Oh, we need a D man. Let's just get someone.
Yeah.
And next
Yeah.
thing you've got like who was it when like Florida traded for Ben Sherratt or something like that, or was it Tampa
Hmm.
or someone, and they gave up a first rounder and all this kind of stuff for like you know
Yeah.
useless player basically, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want that, and
Yeah.
and I mean to be clear, I don't think that's the kind of thing that Alvin would do. He seems like a
Mm.
pretty smart guy. The Canucks pro scouting ever since Alvina Rutherford came on has been like incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of misses, but mostly wins. And,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, for me, I will defer to the experts. Patrick Alvin, he's
Yeah.
the expert.
I'll throw. Yeah, I'll throw a name out there because we had Harmon Dayal
Yeah,
on the show a couple. Was it last week? May have been last week. A guy that everyone's gonna want. Who knows if he's even available? But like Erasmus Anderson from Calgary,
yeah,
that'd be a great pickup. A guy who, he can
absolutely.
stop the cycle game in his own zone, but he can also score goals and make great offensive plays. But again, if he's available, price is going to be super high. So many teams are going to want him. Um, all right, I lied. I have one more thing before we go.
Yeah.
Canucks, are they a Stanley Cup contender in your eyes?
I think with everyone on board, Demko, Besser, Miller, uh, PD playing as high level as we know he can, Quinn Hughes just being Quinn Hughes and staying in games, not getting misconducts. Obviously Demko in the net. I would say, yeah, I would maybe put them at like the bottom tier of the contenders.
Hmm.
But yeah, absolutely. I think if everyone is on board and everyone is playing their game the way we know they can, then yes, I think absolutely. I mean, they would be um, the kind of team that you would not want to play in the playoffs. Number one, big defense, a bowling ball flying around like Kiefer Sherwood all over the place. Super top end um, first two lines. right?
Yeah.
Superstar goaltender. You wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. That
Yeah.
said, if Petey's scuttling along and if Miller's extended, he's still out. I mean, who knows? We don't know when he's going to be back, right? It's an
Yeah.
indefinite leave. Like he's dealing with some stuff, and who knows? Then if that stuff's not going well, then no. But everything firing on all cylinders, yeah, absolutely, cup contender.
Yeah. I will say I feel like there's too many things that would need to hit for them to be a cup contender. And until they get another defenseman, preferably a top four, I look at some of the other top teams and I look at their back ends and I compare it to the Canucks. I mean, obviously Quinn Hughes is, at the very top, but I mean, that still worries me. And I look at some other, like I just compare it to a Florida, and I just don't know
Yeah,
if they're there yet. I don't think they're that far off though, so I'll say no
yeah,
for now. But yeah,
yeah, I would agree with that, and that's why I would put them at like the lower tier
yeah,
of
low
the
tier, yeah,
contenders. But
yeah,
I
that
also
makes sense.
think, that if again, like every player is on board and they're firing on all cylinders, I think
Yeah.
they could catch fire in the playoffs, and they would be the kind of team that you would not want to play. And if
Hmm.
if they get a good path in the
Yeah, that's
playoffs,
true. I
you
mean,
know,
if you, like you said, if you get hot during that time, like goaltending, like that's a huge part of the playoffs. If your goaltenders just they
yeah,
got to steal you a couple games on a run, right? And if they can do
yeah,
that and guys are firing, yeah, I definitely can see that. But we'll get a better picture once
it's
April,
early.
and yeah,
It's
it's just
still
so
early.
early. So much could happen.
What do
They
you
could
say?
they could
19
implode.
games for 19 games
Yeah,
in?
they played 19 games. I need an
Yeah.
answer right now. Are they?
Yes.
uh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's everything I got. Unless there's something that you want to throw into the fire, but
Well, I think we should just mention that Max Sasson came up, got his first NHL point, right? Got the assist
yeah,
on the Teddy Bluger goal. Um, that was great. We all saw the clips of his dad in the
yeah,
crowd losing his absolute mind. So I mean, that stuff's always awesome to see.
yeah,
Um, and he's free money for the Canucks, right? He
mm,
was a signing out of college, right? So
yeah,
that's great. What a find if he turns out to be something. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Awesome, and great for him. Yeah, like you said, good, nice shout out there. That was a good moment for him, and it's awesome to see someone come in. Good pass too. Good little kind of
Yeah,
spin
it was
spin
a
around pass.
little stop turnover. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Steve, for filling in. You're going to be our guy now. So if I get laryngitis the next couple of weeks, then
Oh yeah, okay.
you'll be on.
All right, well,
Yeah,
stay away from Vic.
yeah, I'll stay away from him. Yeah, again, thanks for tuning in. We're on YouTube at the Canucks Chatter, on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but X, and Instagram. Follow us there, and thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.